Welcome to Tusks and Tales, where real hog dogs, real dog men and women, and real stories come together. This podcast is built around hard hunting dogs, family values, and the community that lives this lifestyle every single day. Tusks and Tales is proudly supported by brands and people who don't just sell products, they live this life.
It's a fucking stud.
Let's start out with Value Pack Performance Dog Feed. It keeps our kennel fueled and ready. Consistent nutrition that helps dogs recover fast, hunt longer, and stay healthy doing what they love. If you're looking to switch feeds up or step your dogs up, reach out to me and let's get you the performance feeds you need at a price you can afford. Next up, we got Southern Bayou Farm Feed and Supply. It is owned by Mr. Ritchie. It is your go-to feed store in Southeast Texas, specifically Vidor, Texas. They carry dog care products along with plenty of feed options for working dogs and livestock. Good people and a business worth supporting. J Bark Dog Supply, owned by Mr. Brandon Jackson, provides purpose-built gear for hard-running dogs from collars to everyday essentials. This is equipment made by someone who understands what dogs go through in the woods. Tubi Hog Dogs, one of my best, run by brothers, Mr. Kenneth Smith and Tequil Smith. They're built on their passion,
don't follow him through the woods,
their grit, and their
I'm
heart.
sure y'all have heard that
They
plenty
truly
from my
love
mom.
the hunt, and they also own some jam-up dogs. The next up we got an important one, y'all, thebestdogproducts.com. It is owned by Dave Critchlow. Focuses on what matters most, keeping dogs healthy from wormers to full-spectrum parasite control. They help make sure dogs are ready when it's time to cut loose. You can use our discount code TNT.
That is some bottom.
Next up, we got Dirty South Calls. That is owned by Mr. Hunter Ledger, one of the beginning supporters, and we can't thank him enough. He delivers proven calls made for hunters who want results, not gimmicks. When sound matters, these calls flat out work. One of our biggest supporters from day one. Y'all give it up for old Boars and Broads, owned by Mr. Ryan Rankin and Mr. Carter Schultz. It is the biggest merchandise dealer in the hog hunting industry, bringing quality gear and apparel to people who live this lifestyle. Save money with our discount code TNT. Next up, we got Hog Turtle Headlamps, designed by hunters for hunters. Keep you and your dog visible and safe when the sun goes down and the real work begins. This is Tusks and Tales. Stories from the woods, respect for the dogs, and a lifestyle we're proud to live.
It's a big ass one. Holy shit. That's a fucking good one.
I go, there is no way that dog can smell that track. And we put him on that, and he trailed that. So I put all the dogs up except for him and Sassy. And Sassy didn't open on that till we were over a mile from the truck and we were down in a bottom and it was shady. And she finally opened on it there. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what do I have in this yellow dog? You know, what? This is amazing. So I took him back and put him up. And, you know, I had a couple other hounds at the time. One of them was Latigo. One of them was Bell. And, you know, I could put them on a track like that and they wouldn't even recognize that track was there. But they were both out of solid dry ground breeding dogs out of Arizona that guys catch lions with. They were, you know, one of them had that cold trail drive and one of them didn't have that cold trail drive. So, you know, I could kind of judge how old the lion track was. If I put Latigo down on it and she could take it, we're going to catch that lion because that lion not far in front of it because she wouldn't take a roll track. But if I had to put Sassy down, now we're going to have to work on that track a little harder and go get it, you know. So we would just look for tracks. And like I said, sometimes you didn't have to. I mean, if you get the dogs, like the dogs I got today, I really don't have to look for tracks because my dogs cover country. I mean, when we're out hunting, they're never within 500 to 1,000 yards of where we're at moving. You know, they're out 500 yards to 1,000 yards on my left, on my right, in the front of me, circle behind me, back up. I mean, they just cover and looking. Back in those days, I didn't have those dogs I had then did not have that kind of drive to get out and do what the dogs I have today. So back then it was a little tougher. You know, you look for a track, or they would find something close, and then you'd have to judge. If you're in some tough country and you couldn't find a track, you just pray that they were taking that track the right way. Now, Sassy was one of those blue true dogs that she would take a track, and 90 or better % of the time she could take that track. She would be going the right way. Now, her daddy that she came out of, I had him later in his life. He would hit a track, and you had to go find the track, because 50% of the time Red was be going backwards, and the other 50% he'd be going forward, because, you know, it smells as good 100 yards that way as it smells 100 good the other way, you know. So he would cold trail backwards as often as he would cold trail forward. Sassy was just one of those that she would go down the track both ways for a little bit, and then she could figure it out and go, okay, it's fresher this way, and go. So she was a little better than her daddy was. Her daddy might have took a little colder track than her, maybe take a track that was a little older, but she was more accurate and more true. So, you know, through the 4 or 5 days that we're hunting, we're looking for a track, trying to find something that, you know, we can run and go catch. And like I said, some days you're going to have to trail that real old track. And, you know, that real old track may not be half a mile or 2 miles away, and that lion made a kill, and that lion's still on that kill, and he could be going back and forth in that. But you've got to get from that track to that kill, and if you got a dog that can get you from that track to that kill, then you're going to catch that lion, because he's been in and out of there, and that there's a fresh scent in there, and they can go catch it. And like I said, they're not always like that, but once in a while, when you've got to have that dog that can get you from that track to that kill, that's a plus in when you're dry ground lion hunting. And then the rest of the time, you know, you'll find one that's just a pretty good track. And, you know, most of the guys that want to book a lion hunt, you know, they want to kill a nice lion. So you may catch a couple females or a couple small toms or something like that before you catch a really nice tom that they want to harvest. So you'll get, you know, it's just good work for your dogs, but it's just time, you know, that you're putting in, the dogs are putting in, getting training, but you're just spending time trying to find one for the guy that's a really nice lion. And then there were exceptions through the years. I'd have guys that, you know, they wanted a Boone and Crockett tom, which you must measure 15 inches to make a Boone and Crockett tom. And, you know, for that, I would tell them, hey, you know, we can find one, but it's going to cost a little more, because I'm going to have to spend more money to go look for this kind of lion and go find you one that's that big. And that's all we're going to hunt. You know, we're not going to let them put on the dogs take a track. I got to find the track and make sure, you know, if it's just a regular track, that's not going to be a Boone and Crockett tom. You've got to have an older lion to have a head that big, and an older tom lion going to have a pretty big foot, so you can kind of judge that, you know, a regular footprint isn't going to be a 15-inch head on the lion. So, you know, and like I said, when you're riding mules and stuff, you can keep on them pretty good. When you're on the four-wheelers and you're cutting some of the bad country that you can't cut with a truck, you're a little better, but you still got to go find the dogs and find a track and make sure we're going the right way. And then, you know, if you're hunting snow, then it's a completely different thing. You already know which way the lion's going and how big the lion is you're chasing, because there's the track in the snow right there. So you find it, and then you put the dogs on it, and they'll go wind up probably in the snow stuff. When you find one in the snow, that's better than a 90% chance that you're going to catch that lion that day, and you're going to go see if it's as big as you want it to be. Where with a dirt track, you know, you may trail it today and have to go out in front of it and try and pick it up and freshen it up and go get it the next day and see if you can get them working on it. And, you know, if it's still getting better as it's getting dark, you just go in front of it again and pick it up and see if you can and it might take 2 or 3 days to catch that tom, but you'll usually wind up catching that lion and getting him caught.
Okay. So, Mr. Cal, how do you see? I'm not familiar with the lion hunting. I'm still learning on it. I'm doing my research. But how do you relay your dogs? Are you dropping? Clearly, I don't want to say this and sound dumb, but I don't think the same dog's running 3 days straight without stopping and taking a break.
No, if we're running in some real rough country that's a lot of malapai and rough stuff that their feet will get chewed up, and you run into, we have a cactus out here. It's called a chain cholla or a teddy bear cholla. Teddy bear cholla is just terrible stuff. Cane cholla is not the greatest stuff, but it's not like teddy bear cholla. But you get in a lot of our country out here in Arizona has that in there, and you get that in their feet, and you just get them tore up pretty bad. So you'll run, at that time I had two separate bunches that I would run, 2 different packs, and I would have one set, and I would have 3 or 4 on one and 3 or 4 on the other. So every day somebody would get a day off. When you're lion hunting, you can give them a day off. When you're bear hunting, you probably need 3, but I hunt with enough of my buddies that we can kind of pack up 4 or 5 every day and hunt a day and give them 2 days off, because bear hunting, you run so much harder and so much faster and so much farther in a little bit of time. But when you're lion hunting, lion hunting is 80% trailing until they jump it, and then a lion that's got an empty belly will maybe run 1.5 miles in front of you, and then he's gassed out and he's done, and he's gonna rock up, ledge up, tree up, whatever. You're gonna catch him, and he's done. If he's got a full belly, he's not gonna make it that far. He's not gonna run that far from you with a full belly. He's not. You're gonna catch him before that. And it's different than hogs or bears, where hogs and bears, you jump them, you may run them a long ways where you get them stopped, but lions don't have that kind of air to just last out and run very far. It's just trailing till you get them jumped, and then once you get them jumped, it's a race, and there's no lion that can outrun any dog. They just don't have the air to outrun them and get in front of them for very long.
Okay. So, with that being said, how many miles usually? Okay, so you haven't jumped it yet or anything. How many miles are you usually putting into the first pack before you go ahead and pull it off and put a new pack of dogs on it?
Usually when you're doing that, if you're horseback, you're gonna try and make a big loop and swing back around to your horse trailer, and make a loop through there, and it usually takes you all day on that loop. So you'll run one pack of dogs for a day, whether you cover 6 miles or you cover 15, 20 miles. You'll let those dogs rest for the next day, and there's probably hardly ever any time, unless you're in snow and you're on side-by-sides today, that you can run dogs on a lion track and then stop and pick them up somewhere and put some new ones on, which in the snow you really don't ever need to do that, but in the dirt it would be hard to stop it and then go get a new set, because you'd be so far away again from, you may be 6 or 8 miles foot or horseback or something from the truck, and you just can't take those dogs back and get a new set and go out there and go get them. So you pretty much have to hunt that out through the day with the dogs you have, and then find it in the morning and put a fresh set on in the morning.
Okay. So what's your longest lion hunt you've ever... Actually, what's your longest lion, bear, and hog hunt that you've ever... like the longest race you've ever been on?
Ooh, man, here in Arizona, we have some hogs that live in lion country, and it's just like lion hunting them. You'll have to go up and let them cold trail the hog, and then once they cold trail it and they jump it, and then you got to run it, man, you get some races on the hogs in that country will go easily 10 to 12, 15 miles. Some of our bear hunts in Arizona that we run from, man, you'll cover 10 miles in just no time. I mean, with the new alphas, that you have today, you can set your collars on different timings. When you're lion hunting, you don't need it on every 5, 10, 15, 20 seconds. You can set it for a minute because you're usually not covering that much ground. So you don't use as much battery.
I got to give credit where credit is due, y'all. Just give me 1 minute here before we keep. I want to give a quick shout out to the people who help keep Tusks and Tails going. First off, y'all know Value Pack Performance Dog Feed. It keeps our dogs fueled to hunt hard and recover right. If you're needing to switch feeds or want better performance without breaking the bank, reach out to me and I'll help get you set up with the feeds your dogs need. If you reach out to me, I can even get you it for a price that you can definitely afford. Next up, man, we got J. Bart Dog Supply, Mr. Brandon Jackson. Y'all cannot beat his prices, I promise. Solid gear for real working dogs. If your dogs are in the woods, this is equipment built right to handle it. Man, one of my favorite day ones, Mr. Kenneth and Tequil Smith with 2B Hog Dogs. 2 brothers, 1 passion, and some jam-up dogs. Real deal people doing it right, and that's for damn sure. Them are some good people, y'all. Let them know you heard them. Next up is an important one, a very important one, y'all. You want to keep your dogs healthy, we got the bestdogproducts.com for wormers and parasite control, because a healthy dog is a hunting dog. Next up, we got a good buddy of mine, old Mr. Hunter Ledger. He works a little bit of both sides, the duck side and the hog side, but he runs Dirty South calls. There's no gimmicks, just calls that work when it matters. Man, another big supporter of mine that I can't thank them enough is Mr. Ryan Rankin and Carter Schultz with Boars and Broads. They're the biggest hog hunt merchandise dealer, bringing quality gear and apparel to the people who live this lifestyle. Y'all gotta go reach out to them. Don't forget to use that TNT discount. Last but not least, Hog Journal headlamps built by hunters for hunters, keeping you and your dogs visible when the sun goes down. Thanks for taking this minute with me, y'all. Let's get back to it, but please do not forget to reach out to one of them and let you know you heard from us.
When you're bear hunting in our big, rugged, open, wide country, man, if you leave that on 2 minutes, those dogs already covered 3 miles, and you're way behind on your tracker on a bear race or a hog race when they get that thing going. I mean, with the lion stuff, like I said, it's every you put it on 2 minutes and your battery life is great, so you can update every so often. I mean, once they jump it, but they're not going to run that far that you're going to be out of signal. And if you do, you're just going to climb to the next hill and get your signal again anyway. So it's not that tough. But probably the farthest lion race we ever had was on Kaibab, and we run just one of those decimating killer lions that are you run into these kind of toms every once in a while. They'll kill everything that they run across, and they just eat the heart, the lung, the liver, all the good stuff, covered up, but they'll never come back to it. We found this track in the snow. We followed it up to a dead doe. He had ate all the good stuff, covered it up, and kept going. 6 miles down the road from there was a great big fight. He got in a fight with another tom lion in a spot, and he killed the tom lion. He ate a little bit off of the shoulder and a little bit of the lungs and the heart, and covered him up and left him and took off out of there. And we wound up catching that lion almost 14 miles from where we put on him that day.
Goodness, that's how long did it take? I mean, you finished him out in the same day, or?
Oh yeah, we started early that morning, and we caught him sometime almost close to dark that afternoon.
Man, that is awesome. That's okay. So how many days on each one? I know I just asked. Yeah, I'm just very curious. This is a personal question of mine. How many days is the longest amount of days you've went on a lion run? And if you've ever went more than one day on a hog run, which I doubt, and then a bear.
Usually the bears and the hogs, it's usually one day where we'll catch and do that. On a lion, we've trailed the same lion 3 days in a row before we finally got it freshened up to catch him. I mean, we cold trailed, and every day we'd get out in front of him and pick it up again. And then on that third day, we finally got close enough to him that we could run and catch him. But it took us 3 days to get close enough to catch that lion that day.
That is so awesome. I'm like getting so into this right now, Mr. Cal. I appreciate it because I'm learning a lot. Now, the next question I do got: what is the oldest track you've ever put a dog on? That you could, of course, guesstimation wise.
The most phenomenal lion dog I ever saw in my life that could take a track was a dog that a great lion hunter here in Arizona had. His name was Randy Epperson. And he had a dog named Peso in his early life. And later on, another lion hunter named Randy owned him, and he could verify to that how great this dog was. But we went up this draw, and we didn't have Peso that day, and went up this draw, had a lion going up it, and had some pretty decent dogs, and they were going up through there, and they made a big lose, and we couldn't figure it out. Went around, got up on the mountain above the lose and picked that lion up again and got rolling on it and finally got that lion caught. And we knew we were at least 2 days behind that lion, and we got him caught. Well, we had some other hunters, we hunted some other spots, went back in there 5 days later, and we're going up that wash again because we'd seen another tom scratch in there, that we knew there was another tom lion in there. And we get over there, and Peso gets on that track, puts his head down and barks, and Randy goes, "There's no way he's smelling that lion." I go, "Just let him work it out." So we went up where our older dogs lost that track 5 days before, when that thing was 2 days old. He went up there and he trailed it all through the stuff that the other dog lost it and couldn't find it, went right up to the top of the rim where we picked it up again and took it and was following that line. That dog could trail a 7-day-old lion track. Now, he was a freak of nature. He was a phenomenon. I mean, that dog was something just unbelievable in that aspect. And I did not own him. Randy did, but I witnessed that dog, and I can tell you that he was something to witness. But the best one I ever had was Buck. Buck took a track that I went on before the guy that was going to hunt with me showed up. When he got there 2 days later, I said, "Man, I got a track over here. Let's go freshen it up." And I got over there and I couldn't find it. So I went back and let's just put Buck down here and see if he'll take it. Buck took that track that I found 2 days before, and it took us 9 hours, but we got that lion jumped and caught, and Buck caught that lion on a 3-day-old lion track in the dirt in Arizona.
That's amazing. I like to hear that. Now, I do, out of curiosity, have you ever like roped a lion and tied him, or?
That's not legal in Arizona.
Oh, okay. Well, shoot, I didn't know. Sorry. I'll talk to you privately about that one then.
All right.
Okay. So, all right. Well, Mr. Cal, do you got anything else you want to cover before we get on to the next subject?
No, I think if you think there's something that we need to add, but I think I'm hoping that I covered everything you want me to cover.
Yeah. So far we're doing good. We're gonna jump off that subject, like the dog subject, for a second, and we're gonna talk about your kennel maintenance, dog care. I'm not saying you're an old timer, but us younger guys, newer guys into it, we love hearing other ways to do things. So I started off with always in the summer. I don't know if you hunt it. How do you keep good hydration levels on your dogs so they're not overheating or anything like that?
Everything is shaded with, nobody has, places that aren't shaded. Everybody's in a kennel that has a big roof over them, and they can be in the shade all the time. Everybody has a 55 gallon drum that if they want to get in, they can. And probably 90% of my dogs are water dogs, and they'll get in it and just live in that thing through the summer when it's 110 degrees. And, they like that part of it. They always have fresh water all the time. I don't really have any issues about them staying hydrated. They'll drink all they want to drink all through the summer, but you have to make sure they have good, adequate shade and that they have good ventilation, that the air can blow through all their areas. At my old place where we used to have kennels in the garage, and we could run them through there, and that way they could go inside, and we had a swamp cooler that would keep them cool in there. At my new place here, I do not have that. I just have big, long kennels with a great big roof over top of them, and they have, like I said, they have shade and cover and all that stuff. And then, like I said, the 55-gallon drums that they can get in and sit in, and some of them, when it gets really hot, you'll just see their head sticking out the top of it in the summertime. They'll just sit in that water and stay cool, and then they'll get out, and then they'll get back in when they want to get back in it. If I'm running my dog super, super hard, and we're running bears hard on them, or we're running lion day after day, and you're running them hard, in my country, we do not have a Inishuk dealer down here. Bunch of my buddies use that feed, and they say it's phenomenal, but we do not have anywhere we can get that feed down here. So the best feed that I can come up with is I feed Diamond Extreme Athlete, and I also feed a lot of beef fat and beef scraps to my dogs when we're running bears, that we're just running them hard. I want to make sure that they keep up on their body weights and don't start losing muscle or start losing any of their weight from running. So I feed them Diamond Extreme Athlete, and then I feed them beef fat, and I feed them beef scraps to make sure that I keep them at optimum weight, that they can run and go catch the bears that they have to do. Lion hunting's not near as hard on them, but you still have to make sure that they're getting enough. And just the plain kibble is probably good unless they're really running hard. But if they're running hard and it looks to me like they've lost just a little bit, I'll start feeding them beef fat and beef scraps to put the weight back on them, and that's just extra energy that they're going to burn right away and keep them going that way. And especially this time of the year when it's not as hot, you have to mix their kibble with water to make sure they're getting lots of water with them. And I even take some Pedialyte, and I'll put Pedialyte in their kibble, so I know they're getting all their electrolytes and stuff in them that way.
Okay. So what about your worming method?
I didn't know anything about Ivomec until I had a little walker dog. I can't remember how long ago I had Cassie, but she just always looked, I fed her so good, and I wormed her with, back then you had the big capsules for the tapewormer, and you had the other ones for the other stuff. And finally I asked my vet, I said, man, we worm her with everything. She still stays skinny. And he goes, she has whipworms. And I go, whipworms? He goes, yeah. He goes, don't you hunt everything with your dogs, or run down the road eating coyote turds or eating bobcat turds or fox turds? And I go, yeah, all dogs do that. And he goes, you're getting whipworms in them. So he goes, try this. And he gave me a bottle of Ivomec, and he told me how to administer to them. And from that day forward, man, I was like, man, this stuff is great. And, I gave her a couple months dose of Ivomec, and she started putting on weight and looking great. And I'm like, man, this is phenomenal stuff, you know. So the Ivomec seems to be the cure of everything these days. It seems like that's why it costs so much more now than it used to. But it definitely, Ivomec is, unless in your guys' country you guys have heartworms,
Yes,
you
sir.
can't give Ivomec to a dog that's got heartworms, or you won't have a dog. So you have to make sure that it's given to them from the beginning and they don't have it, and then you're good, you know, because Ivomec will kill the heartworm in your dog, and then your dog dies from the heartworm in there. So, but other than that, all the other worms and stuff, that the Ivomec really takes care of everything. You know, the only thing that some vets have said it doesn't work on, and I really haven't noticed it, is they say that it won't take care of tapeworms. But I just if I do see one of my dogs and I see tapeworms that they have that, then I'll give them a drawn set to get rid of the tapeworms. But the Ivomec gets rid of everything else.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's a big one everybody uses around here as well, for a heartworm preventative as well.
Yeah,
but-
as long as they don't have heartworms, you can give it to them. But you cannot, you know, if you get a dog that hasn't been tested for heartworms and you give him a shot of Ivomec and he has it, then you just lost a dog, you know, because it will kill every worm.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, is there any? Okay, so I was talking to a guy. I can't remember what state he was from now, but he had a type of bug there that I think it was West Texas area. It was like a red bug. I can't remember. And if it gets on a dog, it'll kill them or something. It'll mess their whole. I don't remember detail for detail. But is there any bugs in y'all's area that potentially do that, can give a dog a disease and that we don't have over here?
You know, we do have a couple little bugs out here. I can't remember. We always called them. They have a little orange fuzzy butt, and we called them Wallapie tigers, but that's not the real name of them. I can't remember what they are. But if they get to or somewhere around the face or any mucous membranes around your dog, then you'll get a sickness that comes from that bug. And I don't think I've ever had it in any of mine, but I know some of my buddies that have had that before. And then that other little bug that's out here, I can't remember what that one's called. It causes it'll cause like if they bite them somewhere, you'll get like a little sore on them, and it starts just getting bigger, and you have to take them in and get a shot and an antibiotic to give them from that bug. And I can't remember what that one's called for the scientific name on it. I can't remember. I think it's called a kissing beetle or a kissing bug. Or
I think that's exactly what my buddy was. I think that's what it was called, was the kissing bug.
Yeah,
I don't know where I got the red bug from.
It's but that'll get that little thing in there, and you have to get that taken care of, because that will not heal itself. You have to get it healed with antibiotics and stuff. So yeah. That's a dude that we have out here. That's about the only one. I mean, you know, they'll get bit by a scorpion, or they'll get bit by a spider or stuff like that. So, you know, it's not you can usually take care of those things. It's not too bad. It's just those goofy ones like that have that open wound in there that gets bad and stuff like that. You know, you guys have snakes back there, and we have snakes out here. So, you know, if you get one of these gritty, tough, in fact, my number one stud dog right now is Gus, and from the time he was little to this day, he has never learned that snakes do not bite when he grabs them and kills them. But he's been bit so many times now, his immunity to a diamondback or a whatever rattlesnake we have out here now really doesn't bother him much. He'll get bit and he'll get a little knot on him, and then he's good to go the next day. You know, he's been bit too many times and survived it. So, but you know, when you get them tough dogs like that, sometimes they get aggressive towards snakes, and usually when they're little, I try to find a snake and make sure that they don't want anything to do with them. But, you get some of these little tough dudes that, they think that they're Superman and they can just chomp through everything that they meet when they're in the woods. That they kill a snake and like, if I can kill that one, I'll kill the next one. And it's tough to get those guys broke off of that stuff like that.
Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, while we're still on it, I really want to cover this. Down here in southeast Texas, southwest Louisiana, I'm like right on the border on the river. So we got a lot of issues. When hogs get a hold of our dogs, they usually cut them, and we got to suture them or staple them up. What injuries do you run into a lot? I mean, since you're in the rocks, are dogs breaking legs, falling off a ledge? I mean, what's your biggest injury to your dogs there?
If you catch a lion on a rock and the dogs can get on there, and like I said, if you have gritty dogs, they're going to get bit and they're going to get cut. So, my kit consists of staples, super glue, sutures. I have the stuff to give them a, IV if I have to. I mean, they do everything. I may get a cut that'll go 12, 13, 14 inches.
That's going to wrap it up for this episode of Tusks and Tails. We really appreciate every single one of y'all that tunes in, supports the show, and supports the people and dogs that make this lifestyle. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you like it, share it, and leave a review. I know that gets boring, y'all. To hear that from every single podcast, I don't care. Reach out, say, Alan, your dogs suck. Leave a comment like that. Follow us on every single social media platform. Talk crap to me. I don't care, y'all. But I want some feedback. Let me know what I'm doing wrong so I can make it better for all of y'all. But until next time, hunt hard, take care of your dogs, and never forget about what it is really about. This is Tusks and Tails. We'll see y'all in the woods. Love every one of y'all.